I've got your breaking cruise news. Less than a month ago, the United States opened up her borders to international travelers. And now, because of a newly identified variant, they're shutting the borders down again to some countries, not only the United States, but other countries across the globe. The big question here, obviously, will it impact cruising? Are we coming up on another cruising shutdown? Cruise news, let's talk about it. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Lido, Loca. I'm your host, Tony, here with the latest cruise news updates. Well, yesterday was a big day as the World Health Organization has named a new variant that has been identified, naming the new variant Omicron. And the Omicron variant identified first in Botswana and then in South Africa, impacting several countries in South Africa, in the southern part of Africa. In response to this new identification, countries across the globe have restricted travel from those countries, the United States being one of them, identifying 7 countries where international travel would not be allowed in the face of this new identification of the variant. Cruises that were in the South African area have been canceled, and it opens up the broader question, will this impact cruising in the large scale? Now, certainly, when any of these things come out, you have the extremes. You have the extremes, oh, all cruising's going to shut down, and then you have the other extreme, all of this is a hoax. They've already started to permeate their way into the conversation in the comments of our community. And so I just want to give you that brief heads up that we've got a new topic at hand. Omicron is the new buzzword. And now you will see the extremes come out and start populating the comments. And so I wanted to make this video just to really kind of zone in on what the is at the moment, what we've seen in the past historically when it comes to these variants and the restart of cruising, and then try to frame it in a way where we have knowledge and not just fear or extremism. So this is what we know. The World Health Organization has caught this variant very early. They've named it Omicron. They've identified it being in the southern countries of Africa. They've also seen it pop up in Hong Kong. They also see it in Israel. Challenge for the southern part of Africa. Only about 25% of the population is vaccinated there. A good case study will be Israel because most of the population is vaccinated there. And so the key questions kick in for every one of these variants. How will the vaccine do? The vaccine was developed for the original virus. And so anytime you get a variation of that virus, the question is, will the vaccine do its job? Will it prevent people from getting severely ill from COVID? Will it prevent people from going to the hospital? Will it prevent people from dying? This is what's going to be looked at when it comes to Omicron. They're going to be looking at the replication and the contagion rate. How quickly will this thing spread? And then, beyond that, beyond the medical part of it, we'll be looking at things like international travel. And so I guess the pros that are already being touted, this thing was only identified in early November, like November the 6th. And then yesterday you have this announcement, a pronouncement that this variant exists. The good thing about catching it early is a lot of the countries are able to isolate this variant by not allowing people from those countries to come in. And so hopefully it'll be isolated to an area where it can be studied. And then the other good thing about the early detection is it's going to put a lot of eyes on it so you can see whether or not it is, say, more contagious than a Delta, whether it is resistive to the vaccine, or whether the vaccine does a similar thing that it did with Delta and the original virus. Of course, the announcement yesterday did also come with some negative impacts, primarily in the financial realm. The stock market here in the United States took a big hit as we saw travel and tourism industry stocks take a dive along with other stocks. The cruise line stocks way down yesterday. The first time I've seen Carnival under 20 in a long time. I think it closed out at $17 yesterday. So just even, the news will move the stock market, and this news certainly moved the stock market in a downward trend. But of course, the big question that many of us have, will it shut down cruising internationally? Will it shut down cruising here in the US? I have some distinct thoughts on that. But first, let me quickly invite you to subscribe. If you like staying up to date with everything that's going on in cruising, please consider subscribing with the notification bell on. That way you don't miss out on any of these episodes. episodes. Thank you in advance. First and foremost, let me say, I do not think that this will prevent cruising from happening in the United States. And I'm basing that on the historical model. Now, if Omicron gets out and it's very resistant to the vaccine, and if it is very contagious and it's uncontainable, then I might change my stance on that. But what we learned from Delta is that even though Delta was highly contagious and there were breakthrough cases for people who were vaccinated, that most of the time those breakthrough cases did not result in severe COVID or in fatality or hospital, going to the hospital. And so if you look at who's cruising right now, the majority of people that are cruising right now are vaccinated. And so if Omicron works the same way that Delta did, which it's a mutation, we don't know that it will work the same way, but if it follows those same profiles, then I don't imagine much will change with cruising. So let me say it loudly, let me say it clearly as a reminder: Delta variant, most contagious variant so far, cruising did not shut down. The health protocols in place allowed cruising to go forward. There certainly are cases on cruise ships that's being tracked on a daily basis between the cruise lines and the CDC. None of those cases, the numbers of those cases, have risen to a level where the CDC has wanted to shut down a particular cruise ship or that a cruise line has decided to shut down a particular cruise ship. The big adjustments that I think we will see to cruising is that if countries decide to shut down their borders because of this variant, then of course cruise ships can't go there. There's a shutdown going on in Austria. There's a shutdown going in the Christmas markets in Germany, not necessarily related to Omicron, but because those locations are shutting down, then you have river cruises in Europe that are not going to go to those locations. That's what you will see here when it comes to cruising in the US. If all of a sudden, Grand Cayman, who has its eyes on opening up in December and in January, if they see their case count spike, whether it's related to Omicron or not, then you could see that cruise port shut down. Again, it's early days, and so depending on how this variant plays out, this could change. But if we use Delta as our historical model, again, the cruise lines did not shut down for the Delta variant. Omicron just identified. They're not sure how contagious it is. They're not sure how it will play with the vaccine, and so all of that data will be forthcoming. There are no reported cases in the US that have been identified as Omicron, and so that's the play that's going on now. And look, as always, I'm super cautious before I talk about something, a little hesitant, honestly, to talk about Omicron, but I do see it in circles. I saw Cruise Critic had an article about it already. I see it in our comments already. People, end of cruising kind of comments. And I just wanted to get out in front of it and really just say, look, this is at the beginning. It was just identified. The first steps that we really see countries taking are to restrict people coming from those areas. And so not a real indication that cruising will be impacted, at least here in the United States. And I would say in much of Europe, but we'll continue to watch it. And again, nothing's canceled until it's canceled. So I wouldn't worry too much about it, but know the word Omicron, keep your eye on it. That's what I'm here just to try to educate you so that you know what it's all about. Knowledge is power kind of thing. And I wanted to make sure that at least my voice was out there before you start encountering the extremes of social media. You know me, I try to give it as it is here in the middle. And so I'm very wary of the extremes. And so I just want you to be on the front end of it too, so that you can recognize the extremes of this conversation. Boom, that's your breaking cruise news. Thank you so much for checking out the show today. Please hit the like button just to show your support. This is Tony with Lido, Loca, and until the next time, we'll see you on the Lido. Bye.